Hola tribe, welcome to the House of Kai. I am Kaileen, and today is our medicine oracle read. And so let's see what the energies have to say about today. If you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you are looking for private readings or any sort of healing, corrective therapy, breath work, functional movement therapy, all can be done in person or over some sort of technological media. So you can find that information in the subscription information below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would love for you to do that. I would love to start doing more live readings through YouTube and Patreon. So if you can help me achieve that goal, you have to have so many subscribers. So I would love that. That would be awesome. I'd like to do more live energy healing and breath work with people. It's so powerful. It is so powerful. So I like using the cards as storylines, kind of like painting pictures with stories. They are really unnecessary, to be quite honest with you. They're just kind of fun. And so allowing ourselves to tap into the vibration that we're presently in, and seeing what medicine or healing needs to be done in order to be in alignment with where we're going, right? And so, I will always do my best. I cannot ever guarantee and promise that I am in perfect alignment. I know that because I'm not always in perfect alignment. In fact, it's too often that I can be in a situation with someone, and while being in that situation, start downloading information and data and have visions, or just take in multitudes of information at once. And so that can really take you off your alignment when that's happening. And so I can't always promise and guarantee that I am what appears, right? What appears to be in perfect alignment vibrationally. Yet I don't believe that I'm supposed to be that, I don't believe any of us is supposed to be that. I believe that we are meant to be authentically ourselves, and however that looks. I am somebody that tends to have a lot of anxiety, which most people may or may not know about me, which I think is funny because to me it's so evident, getting all ramped up because I'm sensitive to different information going on around me. I think a lot of us have that going on, and we don't acknowledge that. We are just these big filtration systems siphoning through multitudes of emotions and information taking place, whether it be in that exact present moment and in that exact environment, or it's just so easy for other beings to tap into us at any given moment in time. So you could just be at work and somebody else is thinking about you, and they could I'm sorry, I thought of my mama. Over the years my mom will say, well, I worry about you, and I go, do me a favor, stop worrying about me. I was like, that's just unhealthy prayers. I said, when you think of me, send out love, send out a prayer, and make it a positive thing. Don't do me a favor, and your worrying is creating anxiety inside of me. So if you have, a parental figure that loves you a whole big bunch, and they don't realize that when they think of you, they're creating more anxiety, well, it's quite possible that they are. Maybe having that discussion with them, and bringing it up and saying, hey, randomly feeling anxious at times, and I'm, whether it be a parental person or somebody else in your life, like, is this happening? Are you thinking of me in an anxious way? Are you overly concerned with my well-being? And, they might not know that it's causing you that energetic connection somewhere else, because that's how it works. That's exactly how it works. So, your anxiety and stress might not have to do anything with the present moment that you're dealing with. It could be that there's someone, or an energy force outside of you that is sending you information and data, and it might not be, that peaceful or aligned or healthy, and so it's important for us to deal with those energies. And I as well, I do my best, and I am by no means perfect. I will never claim to be. That I will do my best when I think of other people. If I find myself getting frustrated or angered, or emotionally pulled, sad, or anything about anybody in my world, that I do the work to bring a place of peace and calmness, because I don't wish to send them that energy. I don't want to be mad at anyone. I don't want to have to worry about people. I want to know that in my heart that they are loved and cared for, and that, the acceptance of where we are. So know that that's very powerful medicine to have in any given situation. Whatever energy you are bringing in that moment is being created between a person, place, thing, whatever it is. So pay attention to your vibration. It's important. And it's not just important to you, it's important to everything. Everything. Yeah. So, okay, not sure why that happened, but that's what happened there. So they told me to stop here, and that's where we are. And so number 34, Alakoa. We got this one recently, actually. Spirit of the Warrior. Isn't that interesting? So here I am going on a little tangent about worrying and the spirit of the warrior. The warrior is the one who takes care of those emotions, right? And this little balance, like this beautiful coming into balance. If we were to take this image and cut it right down the center, you would have identical images on both sides. And that is not always the case on these cards. So the warrior is bringing into balance and harmony all things, right? So if you are a person dealing with different stresses or anxieties or emotions or, anger, and I'm just posting a video now on anger, and so if you'd like to hear that, it's a Dear Kai video, my little rant on anger and how to deal with it. Realize that any emotion that you are experiencing within you, within your mind, within this body, you are emanating it outside of you, right? We're just amplifying it. So the warrior is one who brings peace to all energies that it's dealing with, right? So, and what does that mean, peace? That's it's a profound word to use. It's a profound vibration to get in alignment with. And so being in a state of peace and calmness is truly being one and accepting all things around you, right? So a lot of people, they can't get to peace unless they've, walking in nature or experiencing that. Or I know a lot of people that tell me they just can't quiet their mind, or they always have to have like background noise on, right? I have a lot of people, especially I'm thinking people in my family, who won't even, they will have the TV going in one room, the radio going in another room, and they'll be doing all these other things to create even more noise in their energy field because their internal world is so chaotic that they're making their external world mimic it. And so a warrior is one who is coming into a place of balance within, and it's being able to accept all external energies without being swayed or taken off center, right? Taken off center. Yeah, so the spirit of the warrior, the path of the warrior, one who creates internal peace, really. The warrior is not about warring. What is war, right? What is war? Oh, that's funny. I just had a flash of I wrote a lot of poetry when I was a child, and somewhere, I'd have to look for it again, I don't remember what I wrote, but I did some sort of like thing on war and described what it was, WAR, and there was a definition for the actual terms. And so that's just flashing in my mind. Now I'm gonna have to go look for it. But what is war is that people are coming into a battle because they are trying to create peace. Kind of crazy, right? They're trying to create what their version of peace is. That's the trick, right? So, when you have countries at war, this country believes that this is the truth and this is how everyone should live, and then this country believes that this is the truth and that this is how everyone's supposed to live. And the reality is neither one of them is ideal. Usually, neither definition of what these two countries are projecting is best for their country is actually the ideal. There's a better way. However, when people come, when places and countries come together to have war, they are actually trying to create what they deem as peaceful. So this can happen within any dynamic, right? It can be in a family relationship, it can be in a love relationship, it can be, I'm just driving your car, it's a violent act, right? Like, I don't know about you, but if those from like the Northeast can definitely agree that getting in your vehicle is it's like you're getting ready to go to war and battle. And so can you stay in your own lane energetically and not fight and battle the people around you? I now living in the Florida area, it's so much more dynamic because we have lots of people from all over the world, right? This is a high tourist area, so seasonally it can be more intense than other seasons. Yet we have a lot of people that are not from Florida. So original Floridians, those who hold the original Floridian energy that they were born and raised in Florida, which is very rare down here to actually find those people. Their vibration is really quite mellow, is what I found. They're, really go with the flow, very watery, and as if they've sat in the sun for a long time. Like I call them sun drunk. Right, so they've really been in the sun, like drank in the energy of the sun for a long period of time. So they're pretty quite chill. But then add a bunch of people from the Northeast and the Midwest and Canada, and then you get all the tourists, and each one of those vibrations is bringing a different way of driving to the highway. It's extremely complex. So. I know being, coming from the Northeast, we had a specific way of communicating. And when we're driving, we have nonverbal and verbal communication. When you put on a blinker, how that communicates over. So I find that when you're in Massachusetts area or up in that New England area, you put your blinker on, that one of two things either happens. The vehicle either speeds up or slows down to create space for you to maneuver over. What I have found in Florida is that you put your blinker on and the person stops you from having the opportunity of getting in that lane. They literally see it, or it's the craziest thing. They change their pace and they try to deem a place of power by not giving you the option of maneuvering over. So what I have found is that a lot of people don't use directionals here because they don't really work for your own betterment, which is quite horrible to say. I have learned to time using my directional differently. I absolutely will use my directional, but I will not put it on until I've equated what pattern the person next to me is driving. If they're driving at a slower pace, I will know to put it on and maneuver over faster. If they're driving at a fast pace, I will usually wait until they have just about passed me before I put that directional on and then move over. When you do it otherwise in Florida, for some very odd reason, and I mean 90% of the time, this is what happens. You put your directional on, they could be driving really fast. All of a sudden, they slow down. There could be no one ahead of them, and they are now side by side with you, stopping you from moving over. It's crazy, but it's this way of, it's very egoic, a way of trying to claim power. And so the warrior in that moment is very much the one that has to find a place of center and acceptance and peace. So I personally have just accepted that using a directional here in Florida has to be done differently than how I am originally trained to do it. I've had to learn how to adapt to the energies of the area. I will say for about a year of being down here, I didn't use a directional at all. I was so angry and frustrated with that behavior. I thought it was just so childish that, and you know, an old friend of mine said, and I really loved it, and they said, a directional in Florida is a sign of weakness here. That's how they take it. There's so much power and control, egoic rage, that it's kind of deemed like a sign of weakness. And so, it was like you almost want to stop using it altogether. However, to me, that's a childish response, and then I'm no better than them. So learning how to come into that place of center. Wow. I did not expect to have that level of a communication on driving, but clearly there's something to be said about that, choosing the path of warrior energy is very much, there's a lot to be calculated. There is a lot to be calculated, and you are always the primary centering source of that calculation. Who are you and how do you respond in those moments, and what level of energetic acceptance or energetic peace can you bring to the table is the key. However, knowing what you're up against is the other part of it. So, you being centered, staying in your center lane, and I would say your central lane is intended to be love. I pray that you are rooted. I pray that you are rooted in love and making your decisions from that standpoint. And then allowing yourself to perceive the outside world and how can you maneuver through and keep that love as your guiding light. That is the warrior path. That is absolutely the warrior path. Ooh. Isn't that interesting? So just as I pull the card, it's perspective. Perspective. And so we have a woman here who is pregnant, actually. She is very pregnant. And she's holding this earth-like globe. Yeah. I love I don't know if you can see it, but there's all these little doves coming all around her. So there's this place of peace, right? Being very present with what's in front of her. Yeah. It very much feels as a reflection of, as I was just speaking, of knowing you, being in alignment with the vibration of you, and then moving that energy forward. That is the warrior's path of being in that central place and allowing ourselves to guide, be that guiding light within it all, holding this energy. She is just so radiant. And I'm being drawn to the sparkles of light. So there are shell-like images, like skeletons of shell-like images, and maybe you can call them fractals, right? They like fractal-like images behind her head and behind her heart. And what I'm really being guided to is that from these fractals, there's like starlight coming into her being. So she's allowing, those, especially women will know this better than men, I apologize, but they, the bearers of children, they have the most experience in this knowing, but, really tapped in men who have walked the path with their significant partners will witness and see the difference of what happens to the female when she is impregnated. They become very centered because they're no longer, their main focus now is that which is growing inside of them, not the chaos of the world, right? And so I really love that what I'm seeing in this image is that this angelic being is actually being fed light from outside sources of energy. It's feeding her while she's staying in this place of center, and keeping a clear sight, right? And so again, perspective, what is it she's wishing to achieve? And it seems peace, right? All these beautiful little fiery doves all around her. So walking the warrior path, right? Walking the warrior path, bringing more peace in a place of balance. Yeah, very much. Yeah, very much from this place of balance. So, staying in our lane, right? Staying in our lane. Not always easy, especially if you're wildfire, especially if you're fiery or fairy-like, right? The elements of our energy are very important. And so, if you ever study Ayurvedic medicine, it is about, they call them the doshas. And I have a dear friend that I should put her information in here. She goes by the Easy Yogi. So if you get the opportunity, check out her channel. She's on YouTube as well. She also her website, the Easy Yogi, and it's YOGI, the Yogi. Check her out. She has different information on Ayurvedic medicine, and she also does different podcasts with people. And I bring it up because of the doshas. So the elements of the body, and I believe in Ayurvedic, forgive me if I mess this up at all, but there are 3 major elements. And so there is air, fire, and earth, right? Air, fire, and earth are the 3 major elements and doshas in the Ayurvedic medicine. And it is easy for us to throw those doshas off. So we are usually born with a primary dosha, and during our development and journeys, we can often shift that dosha and it become imbalanced. And that imbalance can create emotional responses, physical ailments and diseases, and, psychological issues as well, absolutely. The emotional imbalance of our doshas can absolutely create some other psychological imbalances as well. So, when looking at our being from this elemental place, working on bringing the elements inside of us into a place of harmony. Right? I can be a very fiery kind of being. I love my fire. I love fire. But it doesn't always serve. You know, it's not always the best element to be used in every situation. So learning how to come into a place of balance, and that really is the warrior path, right? Is that even though we might not enjoy the element or energy that best serves us in that moment, choosing it anyway. Choosing, and that goes back into the perspective, right? So choosing an elemental energy that serves you best, rather than your old MO, right? Just because I like fire doesn't mean it serves, right? So center that warrior path truly is central. All right, let's see what Ganesha has to say. Whew. Oh my goodness. So number 4, reflection. Yeah. Sitting in contemplation. It brings me directly back to the perception image here, right? How does one come into alignment with the warrior path that they're on if they don't sit in a state of reflection? Right? I know I've spoken of meditation before. It's so powerful, and I know for myself how often I can resist it, right? Yeah. However, we have the opportunity in every breath is a meditation. You know, that's the thing. We don't have to look at it as sitting in silence. It's, what does my breath feel like now? What does my breath feel like now? Right? I've said it before, and it's one of my favorite ways of explaining it. You are a wind chime. Every time you inhale, every time you take a breath in, you're setting your chimes off. What's the vibration? Do you enjoy hearing the sound emanating from your own being? And if not, you have the ability to change it, right? So both of these, of being in this time of reflection, and it's such an internal and external dynamic, right? So it's truly owning your own personal wind chimes, listening to the vibration within yourself, and allowing yourself to change it, change your perspective on it even, right? So I think I mentioned earlier that, you know, anxiety. So if I'm sitting in a time and I all of a sudden have anxiety, my fire's too high, I can't really control it, I get a little anxious over all the energies I'm drinking in around me, I have options. Do I allow my perception in that moment to be of a place of judgment and guilt and shaming myself for having the experience of anxiety? Or do I change my perception and look at the anxiety as a meter that I can identify my current state and the current state of the situation I'm in? So if I'm in a place of anxiety, then how am I perceiving that anxiety? Right? Every breath gives us the opportunity to evaluate our current state. And then choosing from there. That is a warrior. That is a true, authentic warrior of light. Right? And so, yeah, we are, wow. Yeah, that is reflective of that. That is truly why we are here. You know, it is in the practice of owning each and every breath. Each and every breath. In that, I'm identifying where I can feel that peace within my being, the place from which I'm speaking. But the more I am noticing it, the more conscious I am of a lingering frustration. Yeah. And so the work in this moment is for me to stay in my place of peace and acceptance and meet, have a conversation with, be present with this lingering frustration that is showing up in my being, right? And I want to do the work around that now when it's not really even triggered, because that frustration is going to show up even more if I am triggered by something else. It's just lingering there, right? It's just sitting there I'd say dormant. It's not really sitting there dormant, but it is. It is just kind of sitting there waiting for something to make it amplified. And so we have the power. The warrior is one who has the power to change that, to bring it into a more central place, so that those wind chimes emanate an energy of authentic peace and acceptance in the moment. You know, it's just because the wind chimes on this side over here are sounding nice and harmonic to me. If there's a wind chime, there's a few wind chimes over here that got their strings got all twisted up, right? So it's as if the strings got twisted up in the wind chime over here, and they're not really making any sounds. They're still part of the wind chime though, right? And I know that when my wind chime was created to make unbelievable sounds for healing, and if these pieces over here got all bundled up, then I'm not giving the full vibration or the full spectrum of healing that I am capable of, right? And with that being said, you know, we'll say you're in that car driving and someone cut you off, or, you know, the way the whole directional thing works, right? It wasn't communicated, or somebody else's ego showed up, then those spun up chimes that I'm not, you know, allowing myself to be present with will most certainly become present in those moments. And then you get angry and frustrated and rah, because they've just been sitting there dormantly looking for freedom. And that's the card we already had picked, right? So we need to free up those wind chimes, and you can't really see it, and I apologize. There's this beautiful goddess energy, and she's just cloaked in like this invisible robe. She's actually naked with this thin sheath of light all around her, and her hair is like the clouds. Oh, you can see it there. That's beautiful. And then the light shifted it. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. Beautiful. So we want as much freedom within that being. So to think of wind chimes, you see like all these strings coming down, and, you know, sometimes it's like bells or tubes or things that clink against each other, right? If half the wind chime is moving with the breeze smoothly and making beautiful sounds, and the other half of the wind chime, or a percentage of the wind chime, the strings got all wrapped up, it's not like they're not making sounds, they're just not as piercingly clear as the ones who are already free. So we want to work on creating freedom within all of them so that we can truly walk that path of the warrior. That path of the warrior. Yeah. And I asked if there was another card, and it said Goddess of Fire, right? And a beautiful completion of that, right? The Goddess of Fire, of that authentic warrior showing the way of the light. She's holding fire, a huge wand of fire, riding an elephant. There's an elephant underneath her, and there's a dove of peace above. Yeah. The true warrior path. It's claiming authentic freedom within ourselves. Yeah. So that our internal sound system offers everyone freedom, right? When your internal sound system has freedom, then you give everyone permission around you to have freedom too. That's some good medicine. That's some good medicine. Wow, that was a great read. All right, y'all. On that note, thanks for sharing with me. Please, again, like, share, subscribe. Leave some comments. Let me know how your journey is going, where you're at. All right? I love you. Mwah. Till next time. Peace out, tribe.